Next up, we've got another awesome panel talking about NFTs and investing. So I'd like to welcome our next panel. Give them a round of applause.
There we go. So someone's working. All right, we're good.
Should I start?
Yeah, I guess Jane, you should probably kick us off.
I'm the TV person, and you can tell by my clothes because they're totally not NFT cool clothes. They're old media clothes. My name is Jane King. I work at the NASDAQ. My core business is television, but a few years ago stumbled into NFTs, blockchain, crypto, metaverse, and have really loved this and loved the potential. So I'm so happy to be here. Another thing you can tell I'm old, I gotta put my glasses on. I wrote down some initial thoughts, and then I'm going to serve a little bit more as a moderator here today since I'm used to interviewing people rather than kind of giving investment advice. But I just want to tell you about some of the aggregate information I've gotten over the people that I've interviewed over the years. And they've talked about the adoption of new technologies, starts with individuals, then high net worth, then super high net worth institutions. The industry, financial services, is kind of transferring from people who were afraid to get into crypto to now afraid not to get into crypto. What everybody wants to do on Wall Street is not get fired. That's like the big secret here. And so as long as they're doing what their clients tell them to do, and there's been a lot of interest in crypto this year and last year, although in the last few weeks, maybe that has waned a little bit. I think in terms of investment and where this industry goes, I think it really needs to have some simplicity. I bought my first NFT last year, and I had a really hard time doing it. I had to use a MetaMask wallet. I could only use it on mobile, not on PC. So I think all that needs to become more simpler for people to go mainstream. I think regulation needs to get involved. Washington needs to regulate. We've got a couple of bills that are the Loomis bill and Gillibrand bill that may help propel us to that. At least it's a start. But I do think that this industry and the financial industry in general craves clarity, and we're going to have more of that. I think you're going to see the beginnings of NFT investing in some of those traditional assets like digitization of real estate or other financial assets that we're used to. I think that's where it's going to start. But this is a generational change in technology, and I think we're headed there, and I think we're going to see things go up 10 to 20 times. And I know it's tough, what we're going through right now, but I think this makes it all more interesting, especially some of these projects out there.
Yeah, so I guess we'll go around and just introduce ourselves a little bit before we get into the chit chatter, which is all about NFT investing strategies in 2023 and beyond, like Buzz Lightyear. So my name is Jeff Lipson. I'm the Chief Strategy Officer of an NFT program called MetaFans. And we are a social membership club that is built on the backbone of the blockchain and NFTs as that proof of ownership and authenticity, that you are part of our community and all of the perks that come with that, whether that be digital or IRL experiences. I come from a decade in the management consulting space, building products for Fortune 500 companies, managing engineering teams, building out mobile apps, web apps, and then spent a stint as well under the VaynerX umbrella for 3 years, working on the media side and marketing strategy. I feel very lucky, and obviously Arnav and Barry will introduce themselves as well before we get into it, but I think that we all bring a little bit of different perspective in terms of what is this investing strategy going to look like going forward with non-fungible tokens, which in and of themselves are not currencies. They are not stocks. They are not securities. They are simply digital assets. And so how we think about investing in those or investing in the people behind those, I think, is going to be an interesting part of this whole discussion.
Hi everyone, my name is Arnav and I'm an advisor at Hashkey Capital. It's a Web3 firm based in Hong Kong with $1 billion under management. I focus on all their US-based investments, so really conducting diligence on DeFi protocols, NFT startups, whatever it might be. The future of NFTs is something I definitely find interesting. I think something where I differentiate from most people is I definitely stray away from the PFP projects and that whole hype culture. I'm more interested in kind of like the NFT 2.0, which is, I think, really ingrained with utility. For instance, the concept of like a self-sovereign identity where it's modulated in NFTs, whether it's your passport, driver's license, immunization records. So things like that are definitely where I find NFTs more interesting. So that's a little bit about me.
Hi, I'm Barry Herbst. I'm an SVP with the Elliott Group. We're an executive search firm for consumer brands. For the last few years, I've been onboarding companies in the consumer space to get into Web3, NFTs, crypto, metaverse, et cetera. I've been buying crypto since 2017, NFTs since end of 2018. I'm a speaker. I advise around 10 companies in this space so far. And I firmly believe in investing, first and foremost, in investing in people and investing in relationships, especially in a bear market like today.
Okay, so I'll take over the moderator role. So Jeff, let's start with you. I mean, where do you see this in a couple of years, and where do you think is going to be the first thing that's going to be an investable NFT?
So I think that you have to kind of take the context back of how did we get here to begin with, right? So non-fungible tokens, art and JPEGs was that first thing that helped the proliferation of NFTs, helped some more widespread adoption. And so there was this massive influx of excitement, influx of cash, which presented this speculative opportunity that allowed people to gain and lose a lot on both ends of the spectrum. And we've now come to this point in 2022 where we're in a bit of this bear market. And I think that hype and excitement, I don't think that we're ever necessarily going to get back to that same level. But that's okay, because I think that the maturation of the industry is getting to a very healthy point now where the focus is going to be on the use case of the technology, which is ultimately how people are going to get onboarded into this technology and onboarded into Web3. I mean, Michael with the NFT Pay conversation was talking about that as well. So going forward now, whether the use case of non-fungible tokens is going to be in tickets, or if it's going to be in membership passes, or if we're going to actually start seeing securities being tokenized, if we're going to start seeing it in the gambling world as that also continues to be legalized. In addition to that, you might have an opportunity to buy in to an early stage startup. They might put out some kind of non-fungible token. You might not be buying equity pieces in that business, but you might be buying some kind of early entry that will be able to maybe grow in value down the line. But ultimately, you're not investing in whatever picture of that JPEG is. You're investing, like Barry said, in the team that's behind whatever that is that they're building and whatever product it is that they're building. So I think for me, the way that I think about NFT investing down the line is it's all about value-based investing for yourself. What is it that you're looking to buy? When you're looking around for a pair of sunglasses and you walk into the store, you're making a decision. Do I want to buy that pair or do I want to buy that pair? Which one looks better on me? Which one do I enjoy more? Which one am I going to wear more? And I think that is where we're going to be going with NFTs down the road. What do you want? What do you believe in? What is the value that you want to extract from them? Are they going to be able to deliver that to you? And if that's the case, then you buy in, and you're buying in not because you think it's going to 1000x. You're buying because you believe in the value that they're going to provide, and you believe in the people behind it. And if that demand continues to grow, then there's an opportunity potentially for it to grow over time. But you're really buying for the value of what they're providing for you that day and what you believe they may be able to provide down the road.
And just your thoughts, and you can both weigh in on this, on investing in like Meta or Roblox or some of the other companies that are kind of metaverse-ish. What do you think of that? Is that a safe way to do it, or is it better to go with a younger startup that's maybe more innovative?
Yeah, of course, investing in younger startups, that's my specialty. It comes with obviously inherent risk, and I think because there's so much more venture capital funding inundating the space from fintech investors, B2B SaaS investors, a lot more founders are raising capital, and with that comes a lot of projects, a lot of noise you have to cut through. But I think if you really can understand the technology behind what they're doing, the team, and why they are the ones qualified to start the startup they're doing, there are definitely some pretty amazing NFT startups I've seen, and they're by far my favorite to invest in, because I do think right now NFT infrastructure, there's a huge gap right now in terms of bridging the utility and where its current state is. So that's definitely an area I'm focused on investing, and I think it's something other people should look at as well.
Yeah, so to Jeff's point, Jeff was kind of alluding to basically kind of voting with your money. Which object are you going to buy that you're going to look at over time and still appreciate it, still use it? So I'm very, very excited about and bullish on one-of-one art, not just for the pieces themselves, but for the artists, for the story they're creating, for the life that they're, yeah, woo! Ever since I started really getting to know artists about 2.5, 3 years ago, buying their work, it's been absolutely incredible to see these individuals grow, not just as professionals, but also as individuals. So I think that is supporting their vision for the long term. It's kind of like venture investing. And picking that person, picking that individual or that team is really the basis, I think, for this entire space of NFTs is the art space, which is the foundation of it all.
Cool. Now, you've all mentioned the team or the individuals behind the projects. So, and I'm sure there are a lot of people out here that have projects going that may be looking for investment money. Go into specifics about what you look for in the team, the individual, and the project before you invest.
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think, again, where I differ a little bit is my first question is, why does this need to be on the blockchain? Or what is the benefit of having this on the blockchain? I would say the majority of the time, you don't get a good answer for that question, even though it's something so fundamental. So I guess, a good answer to that question is definitely my baseline. Beyond that, I feel like talking to so many founders, you develop an intuition on, if they're going to be a good fit for this project, how well they carry themselves, how well they can explain their idea, can they articulate it to somebody who is not Web3 friendly? Because I think another thing I'm really big on is, NFT projects that are more for the mainstream. That's definitely an audience that I like to cater to. So I think that's another thing I definitely look for as well.
Yeah, so that's a really great point, Arnav. I look for the track record of success in the individual. Of course, why does this need blockchain, but also who are you? Why should I back you over the 50 other similar projects that are out there? I look for projects that will become companies one day. So I invested in the Series A of Super Rare about 1.5 years ago, and that has become an incredible, incredible business for one-of-one art that I love to support. And many others as well are either artists on the platform, collectors. So to see these nascent companies start off as an idea, then really catapult into the ecosystem it's been astounding. So pick the right founders, support their vision, and support the business if you can by using their products or buying on the platform.
Yeah, I don't look at it very differently than how I would look at wanting to invest in a team in the Web 2 world. I'm looking either for someone who has that experience of knowing how to build, right? This is inherently a technology industry, so understanding the components that going into building a team around technology is extremely important. Or, there's plenty of successful entrepreneurs that obviously someone always does something for the first time. The most important thing about those types of people is they have the passion, they have the vision, they have all that, but they also have the understanding of knowing that they need to surround themselves with the people that are going to be able to fill in those gaps of experience that they might not have themselves, and that leave their ego at the door as they're looking to build all of this.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Do people ever come back? Have you turned somebody down and then they come back? And when they first approach you about an investment, what should they have, like all their ducks in a row to make sure it's not a waste of everybody's time? Jeff, you want to start with that?
Sorry, so if they're approaching me with an investment?
Yeah, if they're coming to you with an investment, what all kind of materials, financials, everything you want to have up front?
Yeah, for me, I'm thinking about, do they have a fleshed out idea of where this is going to go? So when I think about Web3, the core things that I think make the core components, doesn't matter what project you're looking at. I've kind of done my own sort of homework and research, and outside of obviously community, which is an extremely important piece, the other pieces that are very important are brand, IP, and the ability for those people to then execute a long-term vision. So what is the long-term vision? Is there one? What are they building towards? Barry alluded to that point that projects that become companies. This word around projects, I think, is kind of, it doesn't represent what most people are trying to build in this space, which is a company, a technology startup, something that they're building towards the future, which is not a project. So what is it going to become in the future? And then on top of that, do they have a plan to build a real brand around those things? And is there an element of intellectual property that they can stand behind as their own? And if you can find those three things in addition to strong community, I believe that those are the people that I want to invest in.
What do you guys think about that? Anything to add? Or?
No, that was really great.
That was great. Okay.
I think he covered all of it. I couldn't agree more.
Damn it.
Okay. And by the way, I'm more than happy to entertain questions too. If anybody has any, feel free to ask a question, and we can allow some time for that. So we've got, I sat in the wrong seat to watch the clock, so I got about
10.
9 minutes or so. Yeah, we're happy to. And, okay. Thanks, Isabel.
Hello.
Hey everyone. So a lot of these fresh Web3 projects, they don't have monetization set up. They don't know how much money they're going to make, but they have a great idea, right? So when these guys are coming to someone like you and then they want to get funds and everything like that, most of the time they're hit with, yeah, but how much money are you going to make me? How does a fresh Web3 project without monetization implemented yet go to somebody like you and say, we hope to make this much? How does that process work? What do you look for with that?
I think personally, I wouldn't. It's something you need to come with for sure. If you don't have a monetization strategy, or you don't have,
if they have a strategy, but they don't know how much, like they don't know how many users they're going to have or anything, so they can't tell you how much they're actually going to make.
So I think you're describing pretty much every company. You launch it, you don't know if it's going to succeed or not. Again, I base that off of the team. Do I like them? Do I like their vision? Do I believe in where they're going? And if so, I'll give them my all, not just the capital, but my support behind that. But yeah, of course. I mean, you never know when you invest whether they're going to be able to build the community out or not. And I think a lot of that, before you go raise venture capital funding, one thing I really like to see, which I rarely see, is I like to see founders they've set up a Twitter, a Discord, they've validated their idea, like, hey, does this community find this interesting? You don't need a product and you don't need a lot of venture funding to then validate your idea. I think it's a huge mistake that I see a lot. I see a lot of founders, they're raising at 30, 40, 50 million cap, but they've done no validation whatsoever, and I've never said yes to that idea, and I never push it forward either. So that's kind of my take on that.
I would also just say on that if I'm looking at a business plan, I don't necessarily need someone to come to me and show me how they're going to month by month make profit over the next 5 years. I think that if they have a good product market fit, they show that there's an opportunity within the market, that they're going to be able to grab some slice of that pie. They have a really good team put in place, and they have something that's missing in the market that needs to happen. A lot of times when you're on the early stages, that's what you're betting on, right? And then as things move on and you get a couple years down the line, then obviously you want to start getting a little bit more into the detail. But those are some of the fundamental things that I'd be looking for, at least.
Hi there, guys. My name is Aaron. I'm from Moment over here. Sorry, I see you looking. Moment is Africa's most popular NFT marketplace at the moment. But I wanted to ask you guys' opinion on Africa as a marketplace for Web3 and NFTs. So to anyone in the audience, what's your guys' opinion? I mean, it's the fastest growing adopter of crypto in the world. But we're seeing low transaction, like high volumes, low values. Are you guys looking at the space? I find it very rare, coming out to the States. Like no one's really looking at Africa as opportunity. Is that something that's on the radar that you guys have thought about, and what's your opinion on it?
I think in general, one thing I'm really excited about is startups that just in general are targeting emerging markets. I think it's a completely untapped market, because right now you look at the barrier of entry to crypto, it's really high. Whether it's gas prices, or maybe you want to get involved in a PvE game, or whatever it might be. So yeah, I think there's a lot of potential there. It's just a matter of the infrastructure in place where you can onboard people who cannot afford to do so.
And Africa has such a young population too, which would be so flexible in adopting the new technology.
60% under 25 years old.
Yeah. Any other thoughts on Africa?
I mean, I think that when you say that, I mean, to be frank, I haven't spent a ton of time thinking about this, so I want to be upfront with that. But when you first say that, the thing that comes to my mind is education. And so, that's in Africa, and there's a lot of other areas and places as well where I think the big thing that we need to all be thinking about is not, how do we flex and make people feel not included? How do we just take what we know? Everyone in this room knows a lot more than they think they know, and they know a lot more than probably your neighbor who lives next to you or whatever it is. And it's on us to help educate. And now we have the internet, and we have the blockchain. We have all these things that and we actually try to do this ourselves, where we literally run Facebook ad campaigns and do webinars for an hour and a half for people for free, just to try and help people learn how to set up wallets and how to buy something for the first time. And so I think it just comes down to education. How do we make it a level playing field for everybody?
And I think we had a question up front. Did you have a question, sir? Yeah.
Thank you so much. Very impressive, discussion. Thanks so much. I like the, your point is that like when you invest, like why blockchain is very important, right? A lot of I also am doing investment. A lot of like Web3 startup can answer this question actually. So then I'm very curious that among these are discussion like what's your favorite blockchain use case so far in the past? Like, hey, that idea could be done only by Web3 type of thing.
I'm chewing on the question.
Go ahead. Anybody ready to answer?
Yeah, I think it's so early in this space, we don't really know what's a good or bad idea. I don't think anything should be rejected unless it's dangerous or, there is really no stupid idea. Every incredible business today started off as an idea. McDonald's started off as an idea. Amazon was an idea.
Yeah.
So
Apple was in a garage.
I think one interesting use case is credentialing, at least for NFTs specifically. Maybe your medical license being on the blockchain, or your academic credentials. Maybe when you graduate from college, you get an NFT that is your academic credentials saying I graduated from there. I think there's a ton of different use cases. It's super exciting. That's what makes NFTs so exciting, is the amount of real world use cases there are going to be. Like I said, another one is self-sovereign identity, putting your passport, your driver's license, whatever it might be, and taking that with you as you go to different protocols. So I think that's really interesting as well.
I really like real estate, actually, the digitization of a building, because I feel like that is one of those things that's contributing to our socioeconomic gap. And I'm not just talking about an apartment building in Brooklyn. I'm talking about farmland and even metaverse real estate, which I know people that are that operate in the metaverse, and they say it's kind of empty right now. So that might be a good place where you could set up a store and do some retail and things like that. So I'm most excited about that part. Jeff?
Yeah, so I had some time to chew. Ticketing. So someone who's kind of in the sports space, it's something that I think about all the time. We actually implemented we had a Super Bowl party at Wrigley Field, and we created our own NFT tickets that we allowed people to mint for free, but it was token gated behind our NFT, so you could only mint it if you had membership, and then you showed that at the door. That was a very primitive way of doing it, just to try and test the use case and see how it worked. And obviously there are tech companies out there that are starting to work on this already. But I'm very much looking forward to the day where even hopefully next year, all of the tickets, instead of us going off of Eventbrite and scanning our codes in to get a printout pass, but our tickets are tokenized. And I think that that's going to be a really interesting way for sports teams to realize a significant amount more money from the third-party market, like StubHub, that makes a crazy amount of money that the Miami Heats of the world, let's say, don't see. And so there's a huge incentive for the originator of these tickets to push the tokenization of tickets down the road. So I think that that's going to be a really interesting use case, potentially on the Ethereum blockchain in the not too distant future.
Okay, I think we have one more question, and then we've got 2 minutes left, so we'll wrap it up here as soon as he's done.
Sure, I'll be quick. We're all talk about the bright future of NFTs and blockchain, but what, in your opinion, can really put the brakes on the whole development, either in the regulatory space, societal space, whatever the case might be? What do you think? What are the potential dangers that would prevent further extension and expansion?
I think the market sell-off has set us back a little bit. I mean, I've had friends who 6 months ago were like, how do I buy Bitcoin? How do I buy an NFT? And I was talking about OpenSea and Coinbase and things like that, and nobody's asking me that anymore. So I think that has set us back. But I also think for those of us that are true believers, it's made it more interesting too.
Yeah, I agree. Regulatory challenges, I think that is more so a fear than necessarily something that's going to really hamper the space. I kind of look forward to regulation that I think is going to really help people build and make things safer for people. But I think that there's this looming cloud of fear of what regulation means. that's also been sort of over our heads waiting as we've been in this bull run now in this bear market. So we'll see what happens, but I think that for the most part, I think that the most difficult thing that's going to hamper things is not creating more accessible ways for people to engage in Web3 technology and experiences. And the harder that we make that for people, the more arduous the process, the more frustrating the process. That's going to be the thing that holds us back, because there will be a lot of people in here wanting to build things and nobody wanting to use them.
I would say overregulation quelling the entrepreneurial spirit of the space. 99% of everything we see in the space started off as an idea. Started off as something where people wanted to raise initial dollars to start their company or their project. My final words of advice would be, this is a bear market, we're heading into a recession. Focus on building relationships. You never know where your next job is going to come from, your next advisory opportunity, your next investment opportunity, your next someone gifting you a free NFT. So get to know as many people as possible and have fun.
Yeah, I don't think I could have summed it up better. It's fantastic. I think building relationships is the best thing you could possibly do for yourself. I think beyond that, for me, this is a fantastic time to build. Startups are much easier to invest in. It's easier to weed out exactly who's here because it's a hot market or who's here because they genuinely love the space and they see the long-term potential. So in my opinion, there's nothing better that could be happening. I don't think there's anything that could put the brakes on NFTs or blockchain in general. I think it's here to stay, and I think the sooner you get involved in it, the better life you can build for yourself later on. So that's why I find it so exciting.
And on that point, come say hi to us after, that's the whole point of all of this, right? So
Thanks, guys, for being a great audience.
Thank you, guys.